All right, my good friends. So today we're going to talk about motivating employees and how we get to do that. All right, so motivation essentially refers to the internal and external forces that stimulate individuals to take an action towards a particular goal, right? So it's the driving force behind why people do what they do, and it influences their behavior. Now, we can look into motivation as two categories. You have one that is intrinsic and one that is extrinsic. Intrinsic means that it comes from the inside. So you're motivated by something interior versus something exterior. You are performing the task for your personal satisfaction rather than any external rewards. And extrinsic motivation, it's where external incentives drive the individual to perform a particular task in exchange for tangible rewards such as money, bonuses, promotions, or any public recognition as well. Now, within that, we have something called wants and needs. Needs represent the gap between the individual's current state and what is necessary for them to succeed, to survive, for their fulfillment. And so it's the basic force that compels people into action to resolve that gap. So in a workplace setting, needs can range from psychological needs like needing a rest break to lunch or whatever, to psychological needs as well, recognition, achievement, and so forth. Wants, on the other hand, they represent a desire or an aspiration that goes beyond the basic necessities. And so what we're looking at, they relate to personal preferences, they relate to satisfaction, and they relate to improvement in quality of life. So essentially, a want is a gap between the current state and the desired future state. And that creates motivation to achieve or attain something beyond mere survival. Does that make sense? How we doing? Is okay? All right. So again, this is a visual representation of intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation, because you want the money, because you want the bonus, because you want whatever, that creates a tension. Then you have the effort, then it becomes the satisfaction once you get that. And then the intrinsic comes from personal satisfaction on the inside. Now, there are different theories that influenced motivation. The first one that we're going to look at is the scientific management theory, and this is one of the earliest approaches to motivation. It's rooted in the idea that employees are primarily motivated by economic rewards. So you have Frederick Taylor, who believed that the best way to motivate workers was to optimize their task by breaking down the process into small, simple tasks and offering financial incentives for efficiency. Now, his system emphasized standardization of time to ensure workers perform tasks in the most effective and efficient manner. This is pretty effective for routine tasks. So it often neglects the social and psychological needs of employees, and it led to a lot of criticism that is treating workers as they are machines, okay? Because all they're doing is just performing these tasks, and you're just rewarding them for these performances. The next one we have is the Hawthorne study. And Elton Mayo's Hawthorne study revolutionized management thinking by demonstrating the importance of social factors in the workplace. This was conducted in 1920 and 1930s, and these studies, what they did was they showed that employees' performance, they improved when they received attention from supervisors that they felt was valuable. This is termed as the Hawthorne effect, and it suggests that employees are not only motivated by economic factors, bless you, but also by recognition, by social interactions, and their work environment. So essentially, these findings were the foundation in emphasizing the importance of human relations in the workplace. This is kind of what paved the way for modern approach to motivation that we are currently using right now. You may have heard of the next one, and that is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs is probably the most well-known motivation theory out there, and it proposes that individuals have 5 levels of needs. So you've got physiological, which is safety, social esteem, and self-actualization. So according to Maslow, individuals are motivated to fulfill these needs in hierarchical order. Starting from the basic physiological needs such as water and food, that's like the basics, and going towards higher levels like esteem and actualization, which we're going to look more into these as well. So let me just go through it. All right, there. So that's that. So you can see it in the each one of these levels has to be met before you get to the next level. So then you get to self-actualization, and self-actualization is kind of like getting to know more of, this is where individuals strive to realize their full potential because, well, their self-esteem is being met, their social needs are being met, their safety environments are being met, and their physiological needs are being met. So first one, food, water, shelter. Safety needs is security, right? So personal safety, financial security, health, well-being, all of that. If someone's satisfied there, they'll start looking for social needs. And these are social interactions of feeling belonging and feeling loved as well. So people seek relationships with others, whether it's through friendships or family or even romantic relationships, that builds this sense of community and being a part of a group. And esteem needs, this is where you strive for self-respect, recognition, and feeling of accomplishment. So esteem needs need to be broken into 2 categories. You've got self-esteem needs, so internal feelings and achievements and confidence, and external recognitions such as praise, status, and respect from others. And like, of course, the last one is the self-actualization, and that is personal growth, creativity, and the desire to achieve something greater than one's self. The next one that we have is Douglas McGregory's Theory X and Theory Y. And they outline 2 contrasting views of human nature in the workplace. So Theory X says that it's more a pessimistic view of employees, and it assumes that people inherently dislike work and will avoid it if possible. Now, managers who subscribe to this view believe that workers need to be controlled, directed, and often coerced through punishment for them to get their job done. Theory Y, however, is more of an optimistic view of employees. It assumes that work can be as natural as play and rest, and when employees are properly motivated, which I think that would probably be the right path to go. There's benefits to doing work. There's like a self-fulfillment that happens. So the things, intrinsic motivations such as responsibility, recognition, and personal growth come as a result of wanting to work or enjoying work. Mm-hmm. 1 second. Now there are different types, there it is. There are different types of management approaches, and what we're looking at is the first one is Theory Z, and it was developed by William Oshie, which is a blends the practices of traditional U.S. management and Japanese management philosophies. And this approach is designed to create a stable, long-term workforce while improving efficiency. And you're looking at worker loyalty, overall company performance, and so forth. So that's kind of a combination of both. Now, what are these 2? Well, the first one we have is the the U.S. Management, which is it favors specialization, where employees can gain deep expertise in one area, whereas in Japanese management, workers are expected to rotate through various parts of the organization and gaining a holistic view rather than a specialized one in one particular area. Now, Frederick Herzberg's motivator hygiene theory is also known as the two-factor theory, and it explores what truly drives satisfaction and dissatisfaction in the workplace. So essentially, we're looking at motivating factors, and the researcher identifies these motivation factors as intrinsic elements of the job that provide personal growth and fulfillment. These are the things that are satisfiers, the ones that lead to a sense of achievement, recognition, personal growth. And when present, these factors, they actually make the job a lot better, and they result in high level of employee motivation, commitment, and job satisfaction. So for example, this could be achievement, recognition, as you guys can see, work itself, so engagement with challenging, meaningful, and stimulating tasks, responsibility, advancement, and growth. Now that is the first part of it, but now that's the motivation. Now the hygiene factors. So Herzberg describes hygiene factors as extrinsic conditions related to work environments that do not lead to long-term job satisfaction. However, their absence causes dissatisfaction. So they don't lead to long-term satisfaction, but if they're not there, they cause dissatisfaction. So it's that's why it's like hygiene. It needs to be there, okay? So things like good company policies, things like supervisors that have quality leadership and oversight, working conditions, so the physical requirement, the resources, the safety in the workplace, interpersonal relationships at work, so relationships with colleagues, with subordinates, with supervisors, salary and benefits. So these all need to be there. Job security, assurance that you will have a job. These are the hygiene factors that, if are not present, it can cause job dissatisfaction. Okay. Now, we have some contemporary views on motivation. The first one is the expectancy theory, and this was put forward by Victor Vroom. And it suggests that individuals are motivated to act in a certain way when they expect that their actions will lead to desired outcomes. Now, this theory is based on three key components. The first one is expectancy. So the belief that increased effort will lead to improved performance. Instrumentability, so the belief that good performance will be rewarded. So if good performance is not going to be rewarded, or if people don't believe that, then they're not going to be motivated to do it, right? And valiance, which is the value an individual places on reward that they expect to receive. So for example, if the rewards are desirable, motivation increases, okay? If you're going to get something good out of it, you're more likely to do it if you feel like this is a desirable thing that you want. So according to this expectancy theory, motivation, when they place high values on reward, there is favorable outcomes. This is really practical or relevant in workplace settings where employees seek recognition or financial incentives for their contributions, okay? The next one is equity theory, and this is developed by J. Stacy Adams, and it revolves around the concept of fairness and how perceived inequalities at work can affect motivation. So if you feel like the other person next to you is getting special treatment, or they're better, or whatever, X, Y, Z, you were more likely to not be motivated to work, okay? Because it's not equitable, it's not fair. So it asserts that individuals are motivated when they perceive the ratio of their input, so things like the effort that they're putting in, the skills that they have, the time that they're putting in, to the output, which is the salary that they're getting, the benefit that they're getting, as being equal to that of their peers. So if the employees feel like they are being treated fairly compared to others, they are more likely to remain motivated and satisfied. Okay. But if they perceive imbalance or lack of fairness or whatever, either being under rewarded or over rewarded, it can lead to dissatisfaction. It can reduce productivity or even more turnover or higher turnover rate. Okay, so people will quit their jobs as a result of it. The next one that we have is goal setting theory. And this was proposed by Edward Locke. And it says that there is an importance of setting specific, challenging, and attainable goals in enhancing motivation and performance. If the goals and the outlines of these goals are clear, people are more likely to be motivated to do something. So according to this theory, employees are motivated when they have a clear objective to strive for. When things are arbitrary, people don't know what to measure. And there's no sense of reward and there's no sense of achievement. When that's the case, people lose motivation. So what you're looking at is clarity, you're looking at challenge, you're looking at commitment, you're looking at the feedback that you're getting from that person, and you're looking at task complexity. So essentially, you're breaking down complex goals into manageable steps. You're setting specific goals by providing feedback, and managers can help employees achieve higher performance levels while ensuring that they stay motivated and focused when they have these also complex tasks. It's more like a challenge, like they can do more. And the last one we have here is the reinforcement theory. And this is rooted in the B.F. Skinner's work, and it's focused on relationships between behaviors and consequences. So it says that behavior can be shaped by motivated by reinforcing desired actions and discouraging undesired ones. Essentially, reinforcement can take the form of positive reinforcement, so rewarding desired behavior, while negative reinforcement removes undesirable conditions when desired behaviors occur. Okay, so when we say negative reinforcement, we're not saying that you are doing something negative to that person. You're just removing negative consequences. Okay, positive is adding, negative is taking away. So that's that. So this theory is widely used in organizational settings to motivate employees by implementing systems of rewards and consequences. And it promotes behaviors that align with organizations' goals. So together, these four contemporary theories, what they do is they offer comprehensive insight into how motivation actually functions within individuals and their behaviors and within organizations as well. And it helps managers design strategic strategies, strategic moves to maximize performance and engagement. So according to the expectancy theory, there's a suggestion that motivation is determined by expectancy, that one's effort will lead to desired performance, which will in turn lead to valuable outcomes. It's kind of like a visual representation of this as well. You put in the performance, effort, then the performance is valued, then you have the outcome, and then you have individual needs. So effort is the energy or input that individuals put into completing tasks. Performance is the belief that efforts will result in successful performance. So individuals are motivated when they believe their effort will improve performance. And then outcome, the result or reward follows from the performance. All right. So what's the role of expectancy? At each stage of this process, individuals have expectations that shape their behavior. Now, they believe that effort will lead to better performance, and that's what drives individual acts. Valiance is the final piece in the process, and it's how much individuals value the outcome. If the outcome satisfies an important need or desire, motivation will be higher. The value placed on the outcome is referred to as valence. Now, the stronger the individual's need for the outcome, the more motivated they actually become to put in the effort. And this is why we see this repeatedness of expectancy at each of these stages. All right. So we talked a little bit about equity theory, but there is also something called social comparison in equity theory. Now, this is where, here's another slide that talks about this. Okay, good enough. So employees evaluate their outcome to input ratios and compare it against the ratios of others. What they're looking at is their own personal experience in the same organization. So reflecting whether their rewards have been improved or stayed the same. Their experiences in different organizations, that's the benchmark, right? That's what they're measuring against. Co-workers in the same organizations, and finally, employees in other organizations. So you're offering an external benchmark as well. Bless you. Sorry, one second. All right. Goal setting theory, as we said earlier, it's based on clear goals that they have. So individuals' intention to work towards a goal is a primary source of motivation. Sometimes these goals can be something intrinsic, like you wanting to learn a skill. And so you're maybe shifting departments or you're shifting work. And otherwise, it could be extrinsic as well, okay? As long as it is set. So there are three main types of consequences in this reinforcement theory. And what we're looking at is positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, or no reinforcement at all. Positive reinforcement involves rewarding desirable behaviors with favorable outcomes, such as praise, honor, bonuses, promotions. These types of reinforcement in the workplace strengthen the behavior, and it makes it more likely that employees will actually repeat it in the future. So if you give someone praise about something, think about little kids. If you tell them good job, they'll want to do this again. Okay, same thing goes for adults. And so negative reinforcement involves a removal of unfavorable outcomes in response to a desired behavior. Now, it's important to note that negative reinforcement is not punishment. Instead, it encourages the contribution of good behavior by eliminating an unpleasant condition. Sorry. For example, if you have an employee that constantly meet deadlines, they may no longer be closely monitored by a supervisor. That's a removal of something that's negative, right? And that reduces stress and it promotes productivity. In the same way, removal of negative factors reinforces positive behavior. And the final type of consequence is that there is no reinforcement at all. So when a behavior is neither rewarded nor punished. Now, this lack of consequence can lead to extinction of particular behavior. So when employees' efforts are not acknowledged, they may become demotivated or stop engaging in the desired action. You can see that in relationships as well. If someone's doing something kind for you and you don't acknowledge it, they'll stop doing whatever kind thing they're doing, right? So it's important to acknowledge these things just in general as motivation if you want to reinforce that behavior and for that person to continue doing what they're doing. Now, the application of motivation theory in organizations is essential for enhancing employee performance and satisfaction. One of the most key aspects is motivational job design. So, the entire job has to be designed in a way that it's motivating. So, job enlargement, job enrichment, and job rotations are important things. Enlargement involves expanding the horizon or the scope of the job. So, allowing employees to perform a wider variety of tasks. What this does is that it reduces monotony and it increases engagement by offering workers more diverse responsibilities and giving them the ability to do more things. So, job enrichment, so that increases engagement and it gives them more responsibility. Job enrichment, on the other hand, focuses on vertical expansion of roles, so granting employees more autonomy, authority, and decision-making power. Okay, so that is enrichment. It promotes a deeper sense of responsibility and ownership over their work, and that can lead to greater job satisfaction and motivation. The last one we have is job rotation, and that is cross-training. And it involves moving employees between different roles and tasks within the organization. And it just not only does it broaden people's skills, but it also increases organizational flexibility, which allows employees to move to different locations if they are needed, because they've now gained the skill sets that they need to. Another aspect of motivation theory application involves work scheduling options. These are just wonderful, right? Flexibility in work schedules that can definitely significantly boost motivation. So we're looking at the dynamic and demanding work environments that we currently have. So you're thinking of things like flex time, compressed work weeks, and telecommunications are really popular options. Flex times allows employees to choose when they start and end their workday within specific limits, so it can improve work-life balance for people. A compressed work week enables employees to complete their required hours in fewer days. So instead of working 5 days a week, you can work 4 days a week with 10 hours instead of 5 with 8-hour workdays. Telecommunications is remote work, which allows employees to work remotely online. And it increases flexibility in terms of time and location as well. Another part of application for motivation theory is recognition and empowerment. Now, they play a crucial role in application theory of motivation theory in that recognition is probably one of the most effective ways to reinforce positive behaviors, and it can take the form of public praises, awards, or even a simple acknowledgement. Just simply saying good job to someone, it goes a long, long way. So when employees feel that their efforts are recognized, they are more likely to stay motivated and maintain or improve their performance. And then empowerment involves giving employees the authority and trust to make decisions within their roles as well. And the last thing that we have on the slide is economic incentives. Now, obviously, they remain this very fundamental part of motivation for many employees. So, financial rewards, bonuses, pay increases, raises, profit sharing plans, they can provide immediate and tangible recognition for an employee's work. And these incentives, they serve as extrinsic motivators. They drive employees to achieve specific goals or targets. So when you meet this benchmark, this is how much more of a bonus you will get. And so people tend to want to do that. All right. So that is it for this lecture.